We now have, or Stephanie has, a lot of questions. As you know, every week she's inundated with phone calls and questions about everything and anything. So, Stephanie, I'm going to leave it over to you for the moment and ask away.
Thank you. Well, we do get a lot of questions and concerns and emails and everything that come through. So we ask for your patience as we find the answer and get back with you in a manner that we can answer your question properly. So as we know, yesterday, June 24th, the county, Miami-Dade County, Mayor Jimenez, and the city of Aventura came out with some new ordinances and things as the cases of COVID have gone up in the state. They mentioned some different rules about the mask and other things in establishments. So one of the questions some of the residents were asking is what will happen here on the island? They understand if it's in a city, but out in the city, but what will happen if they do not have a mask and they're in the restaurant, or if they're working out in the spa, or if they're, happen to be, walking on the island? What will happen? Exactly the rules behind it.
That's a good question because they change daily. As of now, unfortunately, I wish we had more enforcement power, let's say, for it. However, what will happen is as follows. It's mandatory now in Aventura especially, which is what we're concerned about, that people wear a mask and they social distance. If in fact people are not doing it, we at the island don't have enforcement capabilities because this is a state rule. However, if you notify security or you notify the Aventura police through your building, they will notify the people. And if there's more than one offense or they continue to do it, there are substantial dollar fines involved with that. If it happens on the island and we're told about it, we have to bring the people up to grievance, and then we can, if such time the grievance committee decides to do something, which they most likely will right now, these people could lose some of their privileges on the island. So understand, it's not something you should fool around, because right now the mask is not only a protection for yourself, it's for everybody. It's for all of our neighbors and friends and family. So the city is taking this extremely seriously. Aventura has one of the lowest rates. We on the island have only had one new case because we try to be strict with this, because it's obviously for all of our sakes. However, be understanding of the fact that if you are walking without a mask and security sees it, a resident sees it, and knows who you are, they will notify the authorities and you will be subject to a warning or a fine, depending on if you continue to do it or you don't continue. But if the island is notified, we have to take it to grievance. We have no choice about this anymore. So unfortunately, grievance means you must go publicly to have the grievance committee get the case involved. So we do recommend, we don't want to be enforcement officers. That's not what our job is. We want you to enjoy your life, enjoy the island, enjoy the amenities. But at the same token, when you're careless and you're not doing it, by opening the beaches and opening up too soon some of the areas in the state, you can now see that we are doing 4,000 or 5,000 new cases a day. We have become the New York of the South now because of this. So we will be taking it seriously. The city is taking it extremely seriously. And those are the repercussions that could possibly happen to somebody on the island. So in terms of notification, to clarify, the first thing you do is you notify security on the island. They will know what to do, but when you notify them, make sure you let us know who the people are, because first they'll just talk to them. Then if they don't stop, it will go to the police. And the city does have enforcement capability right now with what's going on.
I know some of the questions, specifics that have come up, where people are confused. We have our masks that we wear everywhere. We have our masks, especially team members when we're coming in the office, in the lunchroom, in the break room, on the way to the restrooms because of the interaction that we may have. People also that are working in the grill obviously are wearing the masks, dealing with members. But the members themselves, so if they come to have dinner in the grill, they still have to wear their mask when they walk into the restaurant. But obviously they're eating, so yes, when they come into the restaurant, if they're seated at the table, they can put their mask down.
Correct. Exactly right. You wear it to get to where you're going.
Yeah.
Now, in the gym, in the spa, and all these other locations, unless it's heavy workout, you have to wear it going into these areas. You won't be accepted into it without it, whether it's the salon, the spa, the restaurant. But once you go into the restaurant, if you sit down, you no longer have to wear it.
Okay.
While you're eating dinner or lunch or whatever.
Yeah. And I know in the spa, for the spa services, the team members there have the face shields plus the mask. So I know for some of those more intimate services, they they have both. So that was a question that people have: walking and leaving, have the mask, but when you're at the table, same thing at the pool bar. When they're at the table having their food, obviously they are not having the mask, but when they get up and leave, they have to have the mask.
Correct. Exactly right.
Okay. And again, that was the question: who do they contact? And you had answered that.
Yeah, in this case, if you're sitting in a restaurant, people aren't adhering to it, or you're at the spa and they're not adhering, say, go to the manager of that room.
Okay.
They'll know what to do about it.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And this is a tough question. A lot of the members ask, okay, how soon will we know, and how can we communicate that if any of the amenities have to close? How soon in advance would we know if any of the amenities have to close?
Well, as an example, Porta Vita had this very issue not too long ago, and they had to shut down immediately. If in fact one of our employees in the restaurant gets sick, or in any of our areas where it was to the public areas, we will shut down immediately. And what we do is we get that person tested or verify it. We may have to stay closed until we can check all the other people that have been in contact and worked with this individual. As an example, if one of our cooks got this, hopefully not, we would have to shut the restaurant down until we could verify that, and verify that all the people that work with him either have it or don't have it. But we would do it immediately. It wouldn't be something we wait a few days to find out. The minute we know, that person goes home, no matter where they work on the island, and then we see who else they've been in contact with. They have to be tested, and until we get the test results, we keep it shut down at this point.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And we do still have that page on our website, the COVID/hurricane page, where we have all this information, and that's where people can contact through the Florida Department of Health. All of the numbers that they can click on the dashboard and see what the figures are and how they're going up or down.
Very much so.
Okay. One of our next questions comes with regard to the loan or the government stimulus, so to speak, that was received. I don't know if you want to go in a little bit more explanation about that.
Yes, it's a good question, because we've been asked this question quite a bit by a lot of people, and it's changed during the course of our time that we've had this loan. The way it worked originally, it was a stimulus package that the government offered to businesses as a way of continuing to pay employees when they couldn't come to work. And it gave the employee a chance to either get the stimulus from the employer, or they could go on to unemployment and do whatever they want to do privately. However, that started out, and it still is, either a loan or it's going to be forgiven by the government. We don't know which as of now. We're hoping it stays as a gift, and once we go through the audit, we'll know. But anyone that received over $2 million will automatically be audited to ensure that the money the government gave us will be used for employment and certain direct expenses of your operation. So it started out where specifically of the 100% you received, 75% must be used for employees and 25% must be used for expenses to run your operation, mortgage payments, insurance, those kind of things. It has to be directly related. They came back and said, okay, you have an extra 10% that you could play with. It could either go to employment or expenses. Originally, you had to use the money in a total of 8 weeks. They've extended that period, so now you can use it within another 10, 12 more weeks of it. We will have used up all the money we received by probably another, instead of 8 weeks, probably by 10 weeks. We received $2.6 million approximately in loan money from the government. And every penny of that has been used exactly under the protocols that we've been governed by. So at this point now, we receive the money. The money then pays employees, not only the employees that are here, but the employees that are staying home. Now, what Williams Island did is, before the government came out with the stimulus package, there were people that were already home because we shut down before this went into effect. And we did not get it in the first tranche of the funds that came out. We were given it in the second. So it was not retroactive back to when we started paying these people. So in actuality, in addition to the money we paid almost 150 employees their salary while they were home that we will not get reimbursed for. We felt it was necessary. They deserved it. Obviously, this was a horrible thing that happened, and they needed the money, and there was such delays in getting unemployment that to this day, some people still haven't even gotten it. But the way the loan works, as of now, it will either have to be repaid, or we get to keep it as a grant, let's call it, from the government, but it was used for purposes of employment and expenses. We will then figure out when we're done at the end of this year and we have our audit and we can find out if we keep it, we have to give it back, how much we can keep. We will then decide how the funds will be utilized and reaccounted for. But at this point, it's too soon because we don't even know what the government's going to do, and we don't know if it has to be repaid or not. So we've used up just about almost all of it, will be by next week. The people were all paid. Those that stayed home were also paid, and they were paid the amount they were making the day we shut down. So no one actually saw a discrepancy or any kind of reduction in the pay that they got. So that's what the loan was all about, and hopefully in the next couple of months, we'll have our audit, and then we'll find out what the government decides to do with the monies. If we have to pay it back, we pay it back. If we don't, then we have to deal with how we show it and how we remunerate people, et cetera.
Okay, great. Okay, well, those are some of the questions that I've had for this week. I'm sure next week it may change. Is there anything else you'd like to say in closing to our members?
Well, yes, I understand you are going to be the manager of our meetings from now on at night, for our board meetings.
Yes, I am.
So why don't you explain how that's going to work for now? Because what we've done up to now, it's a Zoom meeting for safety. However, Stephanie's going to explain to you how, as a resident, you can get into it and actually ask questions and be part of the meeting without actually being physically there.
Sure. In the Monday email, we sent out to all of you the Zoom meeting. So I will be the moderator or the host of the meeting. We have one tonight. I know this broadcast will come out after the meeting, but when we do have board meetings for the future, but you will have in the Monday news the login and your access code to access the Zoom board meeting, so our members can watch. We will put the board on live, and I will transfer the host duties to Mr. Shelley. Any questions that you have, just how the Zoom meetings are, you can raise your hand. There's a little button on the bottom where you raise your hand. In the chat room, you can ask what your question is. So at the appropriate time, I will give the list of the questions over to Mr. Shelley, and he can answer the questions, field the questions in real time from the residents. So it'll be a great way for the residents to participate in these meetings. And then, of course, we'll replay the broadcast as we normally do on Channel 590, Williams Island TV.
Now, the other thing is, just so you do know, even if you didn't participate in the meeting live, if you have any questions after you've watched the video, let Stephanie know, because we will answer those letters specifically to the residents if they let you know what they are. We don't have to wait for our next meeting. The other issue is, normally on the island we don't have meetings in July and August over the summer months, and this would have been our last meeting coming up tonight, as a matter of fact. But due to what's going on the island, we will be holding meetings throughout the whole summer, because we felt that it's very important that we keep the island up to date on what's going on, and especially because the fluidity of it is such that we never know from day to day what will open, what won't open. So the best I can add to this whole thing is just be safe, be careful, wear your mask, social distance, because they have proven that that is the only way we can defend against this horrible disease. But hopefully there'll be a cure one day, but for the moment, Florida is not in good shape, and everything we can do to slow it down is critical to what will happen, because ultimately the worst thing that could happen is if these numbers keep climbing, the state will start shutting things back down again at some point. So the last thing we want is for that to happen. But that's in your control. We only wish you only the best. Stay healthy. Please ask Stephanie if you have any questions. We're here to answer you, and we're here to help whatever we can in helping you get through this. Thank you.
Wear your mask and be safe. Bye.